November football is in full swing, and we are rolling into week 11 of the 2025 NFL season. Last weekend's slate of games brought some big results and surprising scores, and this upcoming slate of fixtures promises to be no different. Let's get into it. What is going on, everyone? You are all very welcome back to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, sponsored by Print My Pint. Make sure you check them out on their website and on social media, printmypint.ie, for your next wedding, birthday, corporate event, whatever you're doing. It will be much enhanced by having the lads from Print My Pint there, and we are absolutely so grateful having them to continue to support the podcast. Jimmy English and Conor Tate coming to you on Thursday ahead of Week 11 in the NFL. Lots to get through, lots to talk about. Conor, you are just about recovered from your trip to Berlin last weekend. Look, it looked like an absolute, like a crazy game. Such a really, really dramatic finish. The whole place, the Olympia Stadion looked fantastic. The atmosphere looked great. It looked a bit cold as well. But the Colts getting the win in the end in overtime. A massive performance from Jonathan Taylor, who has now put the league on notice. If he hadn't already, he has put his name firmly in the hat for consideration for MVP. Conor, it was your first time, and look, thank you very much for covering my ass and getting over there and representing Gaelic Gridiron. I couldn't make it as well, but it was your first time working as media. Look, tell me about your experience. Like you seem to have a blast anyway.
You know, they say when you fly first class for the first time, you never go back to economy. And now that I've worked in media, I'm going to struggle to go back to being a regular old fan. I tell you what, those seats are nice up there. And the food in that room is good as well. So, listen, I'm unbelievably blessed and appreciative for the opportunity. It was mega. And what not just that, it could have been the Jets Broncos game for reference. And
Well,
I still would,
not
I
not.
still, well, for a first time, I still would have loved the experience, right? But to get the game that we got, I mean, overtime, come on. History and Jonathan Taylor and his performance, just absolutely mega. I mean, how long have we got? Because I literally could talk for hours on this one. But it was just brilliant. The whole experience, I thought the NFL did a great job. The access we got was unprecedented, and yeah, just an amazing experience. So hats off to everybody and all the organizations, all the organizers, and all the officials that were helped it run smooth. They did a brilliant job.
It really is a different perspective, isn't it, from being a fan to being media? You get to see behind the curtain a little bit. And I remember the first few times that I, started making that transition from fan to working media. It really is a different world, and you get to see the inner workings of the NFL and behind the scenes and how a game is actually run. And considering the amount of organization and logistics that goes into moving an NFL game from its native America to Europe, it really is an incredible feat. And we saw it up close and personal in Ireland as well, how seamless that transition is. But just, you mentioned shifting from fan to media there. How different is it? Like,
It's just entirely different. I mean, the day starts earlier for starters, right? Because you're on an early train in the morning to get out to the stadium. And if I had one knock on Berlin, it would be its geography, which obviously it can't help. But the stadium is not particularly close to the center. So
it's the same. It was the
regardless,
same in Munich last year. Actually, I found that in
yeah,
Munich, it's a
yeah,
nightmare to get to. Even when you get to the train station, it's still a good 10-15 minute walk till you get to the actual stadium, and it's in the
yeah.
middle of nowhere. So like it's and so I can empathize there with your trek to get to the stadium.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to walk it, you can literally start at the Brandenburg Gate and walk in a straight line, but it's a long line. So, realistically, you're going to be on some sort of transport, whether it's taxiing it or the train service is excellent. And because I was so early, it actually wasn't too busy. So that was, and I guess the weather, it was cold. We got a nice crisp day, a crisp November day, but it was a cold November day. But listen, it was just mega, and the difference from being a fan to like walking around to try and get back to the media room at the end of the game and seeing the frenzy outside the stadium. You just remember where you've come from, and There was a lot of kind of pinch me moments and a lot of
Mm.
moments for reflection and appreciation for just realizing that I'm here. And then the view. I mean, the view from that press box is just you see it all, and obviously you need to see it all because you need to be able to document it to a professional level. So
And if anyone was following along on our social media last Sunday afternoon, Conor did a fantastic job for a first time reporter covering the game. It's some great footage. Look, and that's what it's all about. That's why we go to these games, is to bring fans closer to the action and to give them the behind the scenes look. You got a good game as well, Conor. I mean, it wasn't by any means. Often with these NFL international games, I mean, you referenced Jets Broncos in London
yeah.
there. My God, I was at that and I almost fell asleep. It was such a bad game, absolute trite game. But you got a thrilling finish. You got overtime. You got Jonathan Taylor's career best game. I mean, what was it like? I mean, tell us about the game and how it kind of went along.
Oh man, it was your typical two fairly good teams going at it, but not executing at the highest level because we've seen the Colts score an average of 32 points a game. But in this one, it was like the fourth down opportunities and the one where Jonathan Taylor got stuffed, and you had both sides coughing up the football, quarterback fumbles. We had the Penix one early on the Bynum. Blitz off the edge, and then Jones midway through the third quarter coughed it up as well, and the Falcons recovered. So neither team was on it per se, but it made for an amazing spectacle, and it was always nip and tuck. And when the Falcons when they were driving on that last drive in regulation, you were like, okay, I hope they get this 2 point attempt here at the end of this drive, because then it's going to be a 3 point game, and the Colts are good enough to go down and get a field goal here. We're going to get overtime. So as soon as he hit Drake London in the corner of the end zone, I was like, oh, here we go. We're getting more bang for our buck here. So this is amazing. And yeah, just the way it ended too, and it had to be Jonathan Taylor, right? It had to
Mm,
be Jonathan Taylor. Not let's not bring out the kicker and put him through it. Just let Jonathan Taylor run it all the way in.
yeah.
Just brilliant, and I'm really happy. I'm disappointed for Atlanta because I thought they were pretty good, and it's probably harsh that they've lost now four in a row. But brilliant for the Colts, and to keep their season flying at the top of the AFC, buzzing for them.
I was keeping an eye on the game. Obviously, a half two kickoff, so it's not ideal for sitting down, especially if you have things to be doing on a Sunday and you're dragged out for a walk or for lunch. But I did see the finish of it, and of course, it was just the cherry on top for Jonathan Taylor that he got to cap off the win with that 8 yard touchdown run. But like, what a career day for Jonathan Taylor! 244 rush yards, three touchdowns, including an 83-yard career long touchdown, and becoming the Colts' leading rusher, overtaking Edgerrin James with 64
Yeah,
career touchdowns. I mean, he now leads the league with 1,139 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns, and 17 total touchdowns. He has to be in the MVP conversation at this stage. I know earlier on in the year we were talking about Daniel Jones and Baker
mm,
Mayfield, and I think Daniel Jones is still up there to a certain extent. I mean, he had a blip in Pittsburgh, but he came back strongly. Baker Mayfield has kind of faded off a little bit, I think, just based on the way that
yeah,
the Buccaneers are in a kind of a rough patch at the minute. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, I think we knew he was good. We knew he was really good. We knew he was one of the best. But like that game against the Falcons in Berlin was his coming out day almost,
yeah,
where he put the entire league on notice, going, "I am the best player in the NFL right now." And if he can keep it up, even if he kind of drops off a little bit, which I don't think he will,
yeah.
I think come February and those NFL honors down there in San Francisco, if he's not even, he could well be in the Super Bowl. I
He
mean,
could be in the Super Bowl.
The
Yeah.
Colts could well be in the Super Bowl, and I think that AFC Championship game is going to be Patriots Colts at this stage. But Jonathan Taylor firmly, if not in the lead for the MVP conversation right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jonathan Taylor has been hindered a little bit by their schedule and the fact that they've been playing at noon pretty much all the time. The Colts haven't had much of prime time, and albeit, as you said, it was really early on a Sunday, this was a de facto prime time game. The whole world is watching. This is the only one. It was an opportunity for Jonathan Taylor, and he's been putting up three touchdown games nonstop, but
Mm.
he's done it again here, and he's put up a lot of yards with it. It was a 248 yards, so just spectacular. The only fear I have is that MVP just doesn't go to running backs. I mean, Adrian Peterson is the last one to take it a long, long time ago in 2012. So
Good point, actually.
I'm not necessarily looking at Mayfield and Jones. And yes, Jones is quarterbacking a very good team right now, but he has a lot of help from Jonathan Taylor. I'm looking at maybe Drake May because of
Mm,
what he's done with the Patriots and turned them around. And I'm looking at a guy that really is getting overlooked in Matt Stafford. Since week
yes,
4, I mean, and I
yes.
know James is a big believer in Matt Stafford, and his stats are gaudy. And thank you to James, because I didn't realize how gaudy they were until I read his report, and it was just nuts. And he went and did it again in the NFC West showdown this weekend against San Francisco. So follow Matt Stafford, man, 37 years old in the back, looks fine.
One final point on the Berlin game before we move on, because of some of the other kind of big results from last weekend. It was kind of announced there yesterday that the Berlin game was the fifth highest ranked NFL international game based on viewership, um, which just speaks volumes when you consider some of the massive games we've had internationally in the past couple of years. How did you find the Europeans are known for being NFL fans, German people in particular? How did you find the reception that the two teams got, the atmosphere, and just how up for the occasion the
Brilliant.
locals in Berlin were?
Brilliant. I was skeptical about there being a track on the field, and I was so excited to be at Olympia Stadium because of the
Mm.
history and Jesse Owens and but I was really skeptical. But it didn't, from my perspective, it didn't hinder the atmosphere. From anyone I asked, it didn't hinder the atmosphere. It was really really loud in there. The Germans know their football. It was a majority German and American crowd. So this wasn't the rainbow show of London where you get everyone turning up because the NFL's here, woohoo. This was people who really cared about the game of football, who understood what was going on, who knew when to be loud and knew when to be quiet. I think as well the city. I said the stadium is a little far away, but Berlin is structured really well for hosting an NFL game. There's a lot of landmarks. Obviously, there's a lot of history. I've been to Berlin before. It really is palpable. Like, it's a special place to be around, and all the different platzes at the fan zones, the way they were spread around, the Brandenburg Gate and all the goings on they had there. It is walkable to each one, albeit a little bit of a cold walk. But I think the NFL will be back in Germany because they
Mm.
sell out the tickets like that. I think they may well go back to Berlin. The only thing on Berlin is the access to it for the American market because their airport is not as big as Frankfurt and Munich's. However, there were chartered flights. When I was leaving the next morning, there was big A330s, 777s there going back to Atlanta and Indianapolis especially. So they can figure that out. Berlin was brilliant.
Great. Well, look, we're definitely going to have to get you more involved on the actual game coverage side of things in the future. Look, let's move on now and talk about some of the other, I suppose, big results from last weekend. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would have recorded this earlier in the week, but that's okay. We are here. We are still recording. Your Vikings took a bit of a yeah. I didn't want to bring it up,
They
but
don't need much
I
airtime, Jimmy.
I
Like,
kind of we'll have a quick little conversation because Lamar Jackson returned as Ravens starting QB. Ravens are on a 3-game winning streak, by the
yeah, yeah.
way, which is very impressive when you're considering this was Lamar's first game back, taking on the Vikings in US Bank Stadium. High hopes for JJ McCarthy having taken back over this team after recovering from that injury. Carson Wentz is out, so there's no kind of hope of or reprieve of going back to him. But Ravens could be on a bit of a comeback with Lamar back at the reins. Now, there are a few games behind the Steelers in the AFC North. Talk to me about that loss. JJ McCarthy, 2 crucial interceptions, which I think kind of sunk any chances the Vikings had of beating the Ravens.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson went down with a hamstring in week 4, and they kind of said it was week to week. And I kind of looked at the schedule and I went, I circled week 10 Minneapolis. That's when Lamar will make his comeback. And sure enough, Lamar looked very healthy and excellent. The Ravens weren't spectacular, but they were runaway winners as well. But that was due, in fact, to Minnesota's lack of execution. And if I had to sum it up, it is lack of execution. There were plenty of opportunities there for the Vikings to be in this game and just failed third down and fourth down conversions in big moments. Missed an opportunity for a big stop here and there. Defense was fairly solid, but just offensively, the turnovers from McCarthy and the lack of execution on fourth and third down is what cost Minnesota flashes. But we're riding JJ McCarthy now. This is,
Mm.
you've committed to this project. And as you said, there is no other option. It is JJ McCarthy for the rest of the season. I just think as flashy and exciting as he can be, with how competitive the NFC North is, there's just no space for Minnesota now. There's no space for a project quarterback. It was keep Darnold, Jones, or go and get Rodgers this season with how competitive it was. But we've chosen this path, and we have to accept that.
Yeah, the Vikings taking on the Bears this weekend, I believe. You also have the Lions in that division who are looking very well after hammering the
Yeah,
Commanders in Washington last weekend. We won't get into the Bears Giants game only for later on. We might talk about Dayball getting fired and who might
yep.
replace him there. But I think the NFC North is going to come down to the Lions and the Bears at this stage. The Packers, they can't do much really without Tucker Kraft. We've seen that they struggled last weekend as well. One thing that did strike me in the Vikings Ravens game was the Vikings penalties. I think at one stage I saw a stat on screen saying they had over 100 yards of penalties. 10 penalties for 103 yards. You can't win if you're committing that many penalties because
No,
you're shooting yourself in the foot. And
you're shooting yourself in the foot. Absolutely. I mean, and lack of execution, add in lack of discipline.
mm.
There, yeah, over 100 penalty yards in a game. That's you're doing laps on a Monday morning. When you come in, so yeah, just not good enough for Minnesota, and that's been the story of the season. Just not quite good enough.
Speaking of another team, and we won't dwell too much on your Vikings losing because we're going to dwell on my Steelers losing now a little bit. I obviously did not stay up on Sunday Night Football for the game against the Chargers, and I am so glad that I didn't
Mm,
because our offense was absolutely putrid. Steelers are crying out for a number two wide receiver because when DK cannot get open and Rodgers cannot find DK Metcalf, there is not a lot of other options because they know the plan now. If DK is
yeah,
not open, they're going to throw the ball to the tight ends. And if the tight ends are covered, they're not going to throw the ball to anyone because nobody else seems to be capable of catching a ball, apart from Roman Wilson, who had a touchdown in garbage time when the game was over.
yeah.
So I don't know what the idea is there. Maybe Rodgers just doesn't trust Roman Wilson. Maybe he hasn't had enough time to connect with him. Because the defense is playing really well. The defense had another good game against the Chargers on Sunday night. Obviously, apart from giving up a few touchdowns. But the Steelers, it is so obvious now. They went out and signed Asante Samuel during the week to the practice squad. We have Marquez Valdez Scantling on the practice squad. I don't understand these moves when we need a true number two wide receiver on that roster. So I'd be keen to get your thoughts as a neutral fan of the game as to what is going wrong in Pittsburgh right now.
There's something not quite right, and we've seen it in previous years in Aaron Rodgers teams. There's something not quite clicking, and I can't put my finger on it at the moment because I was so high on Pittsburgh at the start of the season, and rightly so with their record and the way they flew out to it. But the way they've stuttered now is very concerning, and I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. But it just looks like the synergy between play caller and quarterback is not
Mm.
quite there at the moment. And it's also a case of they're playing better teams now. Let's face it, it was a fairly easy schedule to kick off the season for Pittsburgh. And now, oh, what is it now? Packers and Chargers both on Sunday Night Football they've gone down to. So that's not easy. They're good teams. And they're both going to be in the playoffs, I think, this year. So a bit of a case of that. But now it's like, can Rodgers keep it together, not throw his toys out the pram? It's going to be really important there in Pittsburgh to get a win or two now and steady the ship and stay at the top of the AFC North. But the number two receiver is either it's going to have to come out of that locker room. It looks like now.
Well,
So
Calvin Austin, I mean, he was looking good at the start of the season, had a bit of an injury
yeah,
in Dublin. He left the game with a shoulder injury. He had two egregious drops on Sunday, and you could see Aaron Rodgers was visibly frustrated afterwards. And that's a good point because Rodgers is known for if things aren't going his way, he starts to become a little bit toxic in
yeah,
that locker room.
yeah.
And when the Steelers were winning, there was talk of, oh, let's keep Aaron on for another year. If he keeps playing well, if he gets us to the playoffs. But at this stage, he looks. I mean, when things weren't going right, I watched the extended highlights on the Zone on Monday morning, and at one stage he visibly said, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
I think it
you
was after
can.
Calvin Austin dropping out. He threw the ball behind Calvin Austin. Okay, so that's on the quarterback and the receiver, but you cannot be showing that kind of level of frustration with your receivers. I don't think when it's on you as well.
Well, I can. Yeah, yeah, you shouldn't. I can't sit here and play Saint because I have also let out a few expletives when I shouldn't have, in the middle of a game in the heat of the moment. But yeah, look, there's something not quite right in Pittsburgh, but it's not too late to fix it. But they do need to get back on track here and start getting back in the win column because at the moment it's spiraling, and the Ravens are coming.
Well, especially when you look at the next four games they have a rematch
Yeah,
with the Bengals, who absolutely trounced us on Thursday Night
yeah,
Football a few weeks ago. You have the Bears, you have the Bills, and you have the Ravens. So that's not an easy schedule by any kind of means.
and the one horse race that was the AFC North just got a few more horses.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Those Ravens are coming fast behind us, and if
yeah,
Joe Burrow is back in practice, he could well be back in with the Bengals before December.
yeah,
It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Joe Burrow is back, and then you have the Bengals, who are being kept afloat by Joe Flacco, who could be
yeah,
starting somewhere else next year. I would not mind seeing Joe Flacco start for the Steelers next year. I'm just putting it out there right now. I would take Joe Flacco. Well, again, even if it is Joe Flacco, the fact still remains that we need a second wide receiver, and
yeah,
I don't think Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, whoever we have at quarterback, he does not have enough weapons on offense right now at the receiving core.
yeah,
Uh, Finally, I want to talk about the Bills and the Dolphins in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami last Sunday, because
yeah.
that was one of the biggest upsets of last weekend. And I watched the game back this morning, and I don't think it was so much the fact that the Dolphins won that game. I think it was more so the fact that the Bills lost that game, because there was three crucial moments which cost the Bills victory. There was James Cook's fumble in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
There was Josh Allen's red zone interception in the
Yep.
third quarter, and there was Josh Allen's
Fumble.
fumble recovery in the fourth quarter. And I think the game hung on those three crucial mistakes from the Bills.
You want to talk about expletives? Head into the NFL Media Center in Berlin right after the game, and you turn on Red Zone, and you're like, "What the?" When you see that score, yeah, no, nobody could believe what they were seeing there on Red Zone. That has to be a glitch. They got it wrong here. But yeah, Buffalo was your classic no-show game this year, and it looked like at the start of the second half, terrible first half, but it looked like they're going to get back into it. All they've had is the Cook fumble and unable to score, but they got this wacky drive going. Allen's had that big scramble completion on third and long. Then they got into the red zone. They've made their way down there, and then bang, interception. And then another chance in the fourth quarter, and they convert on the sneak, and then you're like, oh, just get down, Josh. Just get down. And he's rumbling, and then the ball comes out. This is what happens when you're a quarterback because the whole team is keying on you trying to punch that ball out. That's why, okay, you might get a few more yards, but you've got to protect the football. You've got to be smart in these sorts of situations. And I still think Buffalo will bounce back. I still think they're a really good team, but that was the
Well, they're
biggest
still 6-3. They're still This isn't disaster stations by
six
any
and
means, but they've
three.
had
But
a
it's
couple
not
of
about
a
being
couple of
six and
questionable losses as well.
it's not about being 6 and 3 here. It's about the deficit to the Patriots. Like they play the Patriots one more time now, and if they lose that game, they're 3.5 games back. Like the division is done. They have to beat New England when they match up against New England mathematically. Um, and even if they do, they're still a game back. So it's going to be an interesting path now for Buffalo to make it to the Super Bowl because that is where they want to go because they're going to have to do it realistically with the way it's going at the moment, and because of these stupid losses, they're going to have to do it on the road in the wild card.
Um, yeah, New England Patriots 8-2, as I said earlier. My top favorites for the AFC,
Mm.
or the AFC Championship game right now. They are missing Travion Henderson. Sorry, they are missing not Ramondre Stevenson and Keyshawn Booty this weekend. But still, with the way Drake May is playing at such a high level, um, I can't see any other possibility now than the Colts and Patriots in the AFC Championship come January.
Yeah, so when the Patriots got that big win on Sunday night against Buffalo, way back in week 5, they
And
went to three and two.
nobody thought that was going to happen. We were all
No,
shocked by that. And
no,
look at the way they're
no,
playing now. Like they're one of
and
the
it was
best
a
teams in the
shock.
NFL.
It was a shock, right at the time. It's when New England woke up and suddenly realized, okay, we're good. We're actually good here. And then when you saw the schedule when they went to 3 and 2, you were like, okay, their next 8 games, they could be 11-2 here. Let's not joke around. And so far now they've got to 8-2. right? They're three away from getting to there. So the schedule has favored New England. It's safe to say, but at the same time, do not take away from how they are playing. I mean, that's a good team they're after putting to bed this weekend. So Drake May is playing outstanding complementary
Mm.
quarterback, and Mike Vrabel is and has been an excellent coach and is proving once again that he knows how to get a team rallied up for a game. So there's a lot going on in New England, and it's all positive. And I think they're going to win the division, and I think that's going to be huge come playoff time.
I think they're going to win the AFC championship
They may
game.
well win the AFC. Yeah,
I think the
and
Patriots are back with Drake May. Those MVP chants down in Tampa Bay over the weekend. I know Drake
mhm.
May brushed them off, and he's like, "Oh no, they're for Baker. He's been playing his butt off or whatever." We
Yeah.
know
Come
that
on,
Baker might be baked at this stage with the way the Buccaneers are, and that's true. No fault of his own. They've just had so many injuries.
Baker's going to make
Okay,
the playoffs though. Baker's going to be hosting a
absolutely,
playoff game because there's nobody else in the South.
yeah.
So
Absolutely, no, I agree there. Speaking of the Miami Dolphins, coming off a massive win against the Buffalo Bills last weekend, they come to Madrid this weekend for the final NFL international game this
mhm.
year. What a way to cap it off! But Dolphins versus Commanders in Santiago de Bernabeu Stadium. Um, this I think when this game came out or this game was announced, I think it was a much better game than what we're going to get
Yeah.
because we have two relatively poor teams coming into Madrid this weekend, which is a shame because it's a massive occasion for Spanish fans. We know how passionate Spanish fans are about the NFL. It's the first international NFL game to be held in Spain. Commanders coming in after taking a tough loss to the Detroit Lions last weekend. Obviously, they're without Jaden Daniels. They're taking on the Dolphins, who have been very poor this year, apart from a couple of big wins here and there. Rather kind of mercurial. Conor, I mean, what do you expect from this game this weekend?
Oh man, I expect a good time in Madrid and a good show. But in terms of the relevance of the result, I don't think it's going to be overly relevant when we look back in February. I don't think either of these teams are going to be anywhere near the playoff picture. But I think it's important for these franchises to come over here and try and establish new fans. And this for a lot of people, a lot of young kids is going to be the first ever impression they have of NFL football. So if you're a star player and you make a big play and you win this game, you're going to be etched in the history of the Santiago Bernabeu, of all Spanish American football, aspiring young players, fans of the game. So you got to remember that when you're walking out the tunnel into a magnificent stadium. By the way, what a reconstruction they're
Mm.
after putting down in the Bernabeu. And that's what you got to remember. Okay, we might be playing football in January, but here's my opportunity to leave a legacy here with millions of people. So, you should be honored and humbled if you're getting to have this opportunity, regardless of the record, and make sure you enjoy the moment and make some little kid's day.
So I'm heading over to Madrid this weekend. I'm on the 5:55 Ryanair flight on
Lucky
Saturday
you.
morning. I can't wait. No, really looking forward. Like anytime you get a chance to go to an NFL international game and see the sport being played on this side of the Atlantic, it is a privilege. It is such a special occasion. I am also looking forward to seeing an intriguing quarter battle between Marcus Mariota, who will be the starting quarterback for the
Yeah.
Commanders, unless Jaden Daniel makes some sort of miraculous recovery from his fractured elbow or his dislocated elbow before Sunday, taking on Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, this is really, really fascinating because they're both Mariota. I mean, highly underrated as a mobile quarterback. Was good in his day. Unfortunately, just did not get the opportunities really, or I think a good enough run to be a franchise quarterback. And Tagovailoa, an embattled quarterback as well. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting battle on Sunday in Madrid.
Two guys that might not be on the same team next year. So it's a great opportunity, as we said, that these international games are primetime games. So it's the whole NFL world is watching. It's a great opportunity to show the NFL what you can still do. And it's a job interview basically in
Mm.
Madrid on Sunday. So just because the records aren't great, these guys they care. They're going at it full speed, and it's gonna be a good game of football.
First NFL game in Spain, obviously as well, and not as if we haven't gone on about it enough. We also had the first game in Dublin this weekend, and that was a resounding success. And I think it showed the NFL just the appetite for American football in mainland Europe. And I think Madrid will do the very same this weekend, because I think the Spanish fans have been waiting a lot longer for this game than
Yeah,
the Irish fans were waiting for our game. So I think it's I think you talk about job interviews there for these quarterbacks. These games are
yeah,
job interviews for NFL fans in
they
Europe,
are.
because they're showing the league, give us more games. We want more games here. So obviously the NFL international slate is announced around March, April time. So this is the last game. It'll be very interesting to see next year when the league announces what games are going to happen, where else we get a game. Will the games come back to Dublin, to Madrid? Will we get a game in Rome, in Italy, in Paris,
Mm,
maybe?
Paris, I
Uh,
think.
Paris would be a great game, I
I
think.
think Paris will get one. I do. Rome, I think, also is certainly up there, but I think Paris is probably the next one. The question is, does it supersede Madrid? Do we get more games added to the slate, or do we still get the same number of international games and it becomes more competitive? Does London lose a game?
I
Maybe.
hope so.
I mean, but the contracts are there, right? So the contracts are there for a few more years in London, so we're maybe stuck with at least three. But yeah, I think Paris. But yeah, as you say, job interview for the quarterbacks and certainly for the players, or for the fans rather, to make sure they get another game next year.
Thursday night football tonight, 1:15 ish Irish time. Jets at the Patriots. Patriots are 8-2, and at this point of the season are my favourites for the AFC Championship, after beating the Buccaneers quite handily last weekend. Drake May is having a hell of a season. This should be an easy one for the Patriots, Connor. This should be a no-brainer, right? Because the Jets had about 62 yards total offense on Sunday. Their two touchdowns, they had three touchdowns in total, two from special teams, from fantastic special teams plays, a 99-yard touchdown return and a punt return, back-to-back drives, plus a rushing touchdown from Breece Hall. Can't do much on offense. They are relying on other areas to score points. But I mean, you have to like the Patriots as heavy favorites in this one, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no rhyme or reason why the New York Jets should win this football game, but all I'll say is that these banana skin games are more of a
It is a
banana
trap game.
skin.
Like, it is definitely a trap game, because
Not only is it a trap game, it's a divisional game, and when it's divisional, there's a bit more oomph to it. And yeah, so I'll say that the banana skin is an even bigger banana skin, and how easy this game is lessened a little bit by the fact that it is in division, and the Jets will be very happy to slow down the Patriots' progress in the AFC if they can at all help it today. But again, even if the Jets can pull off this win, they won't be there come January. So
no,
yeah,
not a serious contender at all.
no,
Justin
not at
Fields
all.
will be playing football. He mightn't even be in the league based on what happened.
Yeah,
He's just been absolutely unable to do anything on that offense.
yeah, it's been rough for Justin, but I have to say that in Justin's defense, he had their first win of the season when that 2 point attempt that he pulled off. That was magnificent, and what he has had to put up against from Woody Johnson is unacceptable.
Hmm.
Justin Fields is a human being. He's a highly
Yeah.
paid human being, but he's a human being, and to throw him under the bus like that is just it's malpractice.
Some other very appetizing games coming up this weekend as well. We have the Bills taking on the Buccaneers. We have the Rams taking on the Seahawks. That's probably the
Yeah, there you
game
go.
of the week. 9:05 Irish time on Sunday night. I'll be back in my hotel room with Game Pass on watching that game, or
You'll
in
be
an
out eating tapas in the streets of Madrid, Jimmy. Come
in,
on.
in, in an Irish bar, perhaps, if I could find a decent Irish bar that has Sky Sports on to watch the Rams and Seahawks. Broncos Chiefs is a very interesting one, because I mean the Chiefs, they're still there in the background, but like
Yeah.
they're not the team they used to be. They're not the runaway favorites in the AFC anymore by any means. And I actually think
This is like the Bills Patriots. Like the Bills have to beat the Patriots. The Chiefs mathematically have to beat the Broncos. They can't afford to go 4.5 games back, right? And even if they do, then the Chargers are right in between them. So this is a must win for Kansas City if they want to try and win that division. Otherwise, it's on the road in the wild card again at best.
And then Sunday night football wrapping things up, we have the Eagles and the Lions. I saw a tweet online this morning. I'm not sure, it didn't come from an official source, but it said that AJ Brown had requested a trade out of Philadelphia. Now, I don't know how much there has been talk about that all year, but like, that would be he has kind of been underutilized really by the Eagles this season for whatever reason. You had Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley as the kind of two feature offensive pieces there. This is the big game in the NFC with ramifications for the playoff as well. Obviously, the Lions coming off that battering of the
Yeah.
Commanders, and the Eagles just sneaking out with a win as well. So this is going to be a very interesting fixture for both teams.
It's going to be very interesting. And the Lions, I said Atlanta were the most erratic team in the NFL. The Lions might be, man. They've had some poor performances and some really outstanding performances. So I just think they're less bad when they're bad, and they're better than when they're good than Atlanta are. But and then with the Eagles, AJ Brown, I'm getting tired of this, man. Like AJ Brown is a Super Bowl. Like no, AJ Brown is a Super Bowl champion. AJ Brown played great in that Super Bowl. They targeted him. He brought in touchdowns. The Philadelphia Eagles have lost 2 games this year. Like it's not like it's blown up in Philadelphia. They're a contender. If they win this game, they go top of the NFC. So it's not like it's suddenly not working, and throwing at AJ Brown is the difference. The Eagles are still finding a way to win. He's on the way to his second ring. It's like, come on, stop with the locker room drama. Let's just play ball here. And if you don't get targeted for a couple of games, it's okay. It's okay. But they're also focused on their legacy and their stats and their numbers. But the ultimate stat is the ring at the end of the season. So
Who do you fancy in the NFC this year, Conor, for championship and for Super Bowl? Because it's become, I think, quite clear in the AFC who our finalists are going to be. It's going to be the Colts, bar a massive comeback by the Chiefs, the Broncos, surprising everyone. My
yeah,
money is on the Patriots and Colts in the AFC Championship. The NFC, I think, is actually quite interesting because there's no real team that are head and shoulders above
yeah,
everyone else at the minute. The Seahawks are playing absolutely lights out football. They could be in the NFC Championship come January.
yeah.
It could be the Rams as well. So this game on Sunday night could be a precursor of the NFC Championship.
This
But
is huge.
both teams are in the NFC West as well, so there are playoff implications there
Yeah.
as well.
This is huge. So playoff wise, you got the West, you got 3 teams, but I don't think San Francisco is going to make the Super Bowl because they're too hurt, and I don't think Seattle is going to make the Super Bowl because and I love them, but I don't think Sam Darnold is going to take the Seahawks to the Super Bowl. Playoffs, yes. Super Bowl, no. That leaves the Rams, genuine contender. Then you got the North. You got 3 teams. You got the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl.
Bears have been relying on Caleb Williams
Just
scrambling too
don't
much
see it.
and
Don't
big
see them
no, they're
going.
not
No,
consistent enough.
no, no. Not going to the playoffs and not going to win in 3 games or 2 games of playoffs. Packers and Lions, I'm not giving up on. I just think they have the core there, and I think they have the coaching behind it to go on a run and win a few games in the playoffs. In the East, it's only one team. It's Philadelphia. They're a true contender. Nobody else. Dallas, Washington, Giants. Forget it. In the South, it's only one team. The Buccaneers. You forget the Falcons. Forget the Panthers, and forget the Saints. So. And I'm not going with the Buccaneers. So to answer your question really long-windedly, because I had to work it out and I had to draw it up. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, and the LA Rams. One of those 4 teams will be in the Super Bowl from the AFC.
Yeah, I think the way the Rams are playing, they're playing extremely well. Matt Stafford is having one of his best years, considering he
It's
is
ridiculous.
almost 40
It's
years
ridiculous.
old.
If you're a young quarterback, go watch Matthew Stafford tape right now. Like, it doesn't get better. 20 touchdowns, no interceptions in his last 7 games. It does not get better.
He's also there's been conversation around league MVP. It's the one trophy he hasn't won, I think, that's
Yeah,
kind of missing from his trophy case. I
yeah.
mean, he is making a strong in terms of quarterbacks. If you are looking at it, you mentioned it earlier, Matt Stafford could be in the running for MVP
He's
right
the
now.
guy.
So
He is the guy. Statistically, he is the guy this year, and he's got them with a great record. If he takes them to the Super Bowl, Matt Stafford is MVP.
well, look, fingers crossed for Matt Stafford. I can't believe, look, it's week 11 already. We only have
Yeah.
6 or 7 weeks left of regular season football before we are into the playoffs. We are down the stretch of the season, and you often hear coaches talking about November football and December football. This is when it counts. This is when you want to be at your best coming into the winter as we get towards the playoffs. Looking forward already to, and I hate to get ahead of myself here, but looking forward to sitting down and watching Christmas Day football as well. Steelers not playing this year, so I'll be able to actually relax and enjoy the
Yeah.
games. Look, it's great to be here doing this podcast. We've hit an episode every week, so thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in, who has supported us, for everyone who I've been talking to at various events. And also thank you, a big shout out to Andy for having Conor on the Across the Pod podcast as a guest. That came up on my feed. I was like, Jesus, he gets around, doesn't he? He does one media event and suddenly he's a guest podcaster. So Thank you so much to everyone for the continued support. We really could not do it without you. It makes it all worthwhile. Thank you again to our sponsors, Print My Pint. Make sure you check them out, printmypint.ie, for your next wedding, birthday, corporate event. And make sure to follow us on social media, like, subscribe, tell your mates. And Conor, thank you very much for your time. I'll be talking to you soon. And we will leave it there. And stop.